Hi, we are live once again since last Wednesday.
Yes.
We're here again because there has been a lot happening. Coach Ward here has been quite the busy man, going from many different places in coaching and being a representative. And so we're going to talk about that today because he's had quite the adventures these past 72 hours, or week, yeah. We almost say 72 hours, actually. So let's dive right into it because you got to take a trip up to a certain house that is pale
Yes.
in Washington, D.C. to attend a roundtable. So you got to meet with many different athletic directors and coaches and former players as well to talk about NIL. So let's just give us a little brief summary of that discussion and what went down.
Well, first, I was very grateful for Governor DeSantis inviting me to be a part of the roundtable discussion. And so sometimes we get so caught up in so much other things that we're not grateful for the opportunities that are provided. And I've heard quite a few people talk about why did I go to the White House? Because I've never been to the White House. So regardless of who's the president, it doesn't matter to me. I missed my opportunity to go to the White House when we won a national championship. So I was grateful to be able to go and be a part of the roundtable at the White House, which was like a White House. We see it sometimes on TV. To actually be there was pretty amazing. But it was a little different for me because there were a lot of heavy hitters in sports. You got your Randy Levines, who's whatever he is for the Yankees. Adam Silver was there. Got a chance to chop it up with him. He actually remembered me, so that was a great thing. Very excited that he remembered who I was. And, you know, I just got a chance to see a lot of the SEC commissioner, the Big Ten. I got a chance to see Commissioner Phillips, ACC, Coach Nick Saban, Coach Urban Meyer, and just a lot of heavy hitters in the room. And the other thing, you know, I was very grateful for was I was the only active coach. Football, basketball, baseball, really the only active coach in the room. There were some other coaches there, but they were retired.
Yes.
So that was very interesting. And also, you know, I was representing a lot of hats. Smaller universities weren't really represented there, and black males. So I was the only one in the room, and like a lot of times when we're outside looking in, we always say, can I be a fly on the wall in these type of meetings? And so to actually be in the room and not just a fly, even though I was listening a lot, was just a great blessing, and I didn't take it for granted.
Yeah, absolutely. And that discussion, there's a replay of it live on some YouTube channel, either the White House or Fox, wherever it may be. But you did have the opportunity to talk about the biggest thing in college sports right now, which is NIL. Well, I don't repeat the question, but what did that conversation kind of look like in terms of you going, representing these smaller universities, HBCUs, maybe teams that don't have as deep pockets as some of these larger institutions in this ever-changing landscape of college sports?
Well, the first thing was the president came out, he gave his opening statement, and then he passed it around the room for some people to share their thoughts on why we were there and what we should do to come to legislation for the college sports. That's really what it was. And so there are some good thoughts behind it. And one of the things I wanted to make sure we clarify is we have lumped NIL and rev share in the same breath. And NIL and rev share are two different pockets. And so NIL is name, image, and likeness. And that's like when you go and do a commercial, or you go do an appearance, or some form of business transaction. That is what we consider NIL. Rev share is what the university is given for their disbursement to the student athlete. And so there's a certain cap number that's been given to be able to help support those student athletes and what they bring in. And it's like a percentage for all of the sports to be able to share. And of course, football being the biggest sport and can make generate the most revenue, they get the bigger percentage. In some form, there's 75 to 80% of that number, that rev share number, goes towards football. And then the other 10, 15% or whatever may go to men's basketball, and then it just divvy on out to the women and other sports. And so is it proportionally? No, it's not proportionally fair. However, they're doing what they feel is best to be able to generate the most revenue, because if that revenue is not coming in, then all the other sports suffer. And so I just think that, I don't know what the cap number needs to be, but if they can find a way to subsidize some of the football and also trickle it down more to some of the other sports, then you can have probably a bigger pot to be able to share with all the sports when it comes to the revenue share. So it was very interesting to hear that they have a sense of urgency to get this done. That was like one of the biggest things that they were talking about, was that they want to get it done as soon as possible. Now that's going to take, I still didn't understand this part. They call it bipartisan, when I'm like, should it be bipartisan, or should it just be, let's get it done, let's find a way to have a framework, as opposed to being a Republican or Democrat type deal? But how can we make this about the student athlete, about the institutions, and those types of things? And so it was just very interesting to hear this bipartisan type deal, and they need to get this many votes for this, for the bill to be able to be passed from this group and that group. And I'm like, how can we just come together, ask the coaches, ask the coaches, administrators, the students. They weren't represented there. There's a reason why he said they weren't represented, because it was like a first run at it. And so there will be more. Whether it happens or not, that's to be seen. But there were some agents who represent students in the room as well. So that was kind of the student representation. But it'll be interesting to see how they get to the bill being passed, and I don't know how quickly that's going to happen. But there were a lot of great thoughts in the room. One was talking about academics being a focal point. So trying to build something in there that has academics tied to it. And also I heard Coach Meyer mention that they should get rid of collectives, because collectives is essentially pay-for-play type of but model to be able to help support what guys and ladies are making these days.
Absolutely. Yeah, sounds like a lot of good discussion in there, and also of note, the NCAA president was not in attendance at that meeting.
Ooh, Charlie Baker?
Yes, I believe so.
He was there.
He was there?
Yeah.
Wow.
Got a chance to talk with him as well.
Oh, well, glad he made it, because I saw some reports that he wasn't going to make it, but I guess.
Yeah, he was there, and he spoke.
He made it.
Yeah, he was there and he spoke. talking about how much they pay in scholarships every year, which was like $4 billion or something, some kind of, it was a large number. I don't know if that's accurate, but
That's probably accurate.
yeah. So that was one of his points was they pay a lot of money in scholarships. The only thing is I don't know how much they make. If they're making $10 billion, that's a small piece of the pie. But nonetheless, they're working towards trying to see how they can support student athletes. I know for me personally, I would have loved to have opportunity to be able to have NIL opportunities when I were coming up because, my parents wouldn't have had to, go in debt. Going to my games or football games and basketball games that they were attending, they had to go in debt doing that. Under the current model, they wouldn't have had to do that because we would have been able to support them in that travel. So there's just a lot of things that they're working towards to try to help close the gap in a sense, because we always hear about the institutions are making a lot of money off the student athletes. And that was one of the things that I thought coming out as well, and some of it was accurate because my name and image was on cards, cash cards that was going around the school, billboards that the colleges were putting out there. So there are a lot of things that was going on that had my name, image, and likeness, or jerseys, whatever it may be, I wasn't able to take advantage of. But now I go to trade card shows and I'm doing card shows and I see quarterbacks who are still in college. They're with me and they're probably making more than I'm making, which is accurate. But just for them to have the opportunity to be there is different. And so there's opportunities for them. Not everyone's going to be able to make the big dollars that Arch Manning or some of those guys like that are bringing in. But I don't know how much Arch is making from the rev share. Because if he's making like $500,000 and then the rest is coming from NIL deals because he's doing real NIL, then that's where I saw we was like making like 3.1 million or something. And so if money is coming from the NIL and the rev share is down, the model is very similar. The reason why the professional like Adam Silver, commissioners, and we're in the room is because they've done these type of deals before, and the model is very similar. So there's a reason why they were in the room to be able to help talk through what that looks like. The basketball related income, what the players may get, how they get to that number, salary cap. All those things are very, very valuable and important because that's essentially where we're going. From a university standpoint, but the thing that we have to try to figure out is how does the smaller universities fit into this deal? And we are more grassroots when it comes to that because our guys and ladies are essentially coming to get a degree because the money is not there and they're looking for better opportunities.
Absolutely.
Which is like the model for college, the way it used to be anyway.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's really important because most of the players that go and play college sports aren't going to go play on the professional level. So it's about figuring out how to get these players some of those opportunities as well. And I guess the next step in that is getting more representation for smaller universities and also more representation for the women's sports. Because there probably wasn't much representation in that room the other day. But, and on International Women's Day, that seems to be a bit of a problem. But nonetheless, it was a great visit for you and getting to just be in the room where it happened.
Yes.
Sorry, I can't. Hamilton.
Yes.
Anyways, but before then, You had a fantastic Thursday night. Big party at the Lawson Center. Big rivalry game. We talked about it the night before. And so now here we are in the aftermath, and that game secured you all the number 2 seed in the SWAC tournament. So just kind of riding that win, how does that provide a little momentum into the SWAC tournament?
Well, I know when we talked on Wednesday, we were pumping the game up, hoping that people would come and show up
It worked.
to the game. And we had a very nice crowd. It was the largest crowd we've had all season. Of course, it was Bethune-Cookman and a rivalry game. And so it was very, very hype. And there's a lot of people there. And our guys responded. I was just very proud of how we were able to respond. We didn't play our very best game, but at the end of the day, the goal is to win the game.
W.
And we didn't play well first half, but we were still up 3 points at halftime because our guys defended well, and we made necessary plays we needed to be up 3 points. Second half, we found our way through, and we knew that they would start putting their head down and driving the basketball, and they got to the free throw line. But we were able to make some big-time shots and plays offensively and defensively. We got steals, guys hitting the floor. We got big-time shots from different guys. And we made our free throws down the stretch to extend the lead. But it was just a very, very good game for us because it gave us a 4-game winning streak. And I think I may have mentioned that Ken Palm, about 4 games ago, told us that we were going to lose all these games, and our guys flipped that. And that was the challenge to them throughout that streak was, are we going to be 0-4 or are we going to be 4-0? And so it was something that they took the challenge, and I thought we were very physical. Like our guys played with great physicality. Of course, we hadn't backed down from anyone all season, but it was very evident that we were going to go out and compete. They're the number 1 seed. They won the SWAC regular season, and it was an opportunity for us to not just win the game, but beat the top team, and also gives that momentum we need going into the tournament, because momentum is always important. But the tough part now is, we won't have a game before our next game. And the teams that we will play potentially will at least had 1 or 2 games under their belt before they play us. And so we're working. Today we had a really good physical practice, just so we can try to simulate some of that game-like action. And then, of course, we'll dial it back over the next few days as we prepare for Wednesday. But we have to try to build that energy, since we won't have a game until Wednesday. But I was just very proud of our guys because we were down 7 points with like 7 minutes to go in the game. And our guys buckled down, brought it together, made the necessary plays to get us back close. And then we ended up taking the lead, and it was back and forth. And, we were there for the end to be able to make it happen.
Absolutely.
And it was just a great feeling.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. Because I think the crowd also helped out quite a bit. And I got to talk to Allison Posey after the game, and she said in all of her 10 years here in Tallahassee that was probably the loudest she's ever heard the Lawson be. So
yeah. Well, I told our guys we're gonna have a big crowd. We gotta give them something to cheer about. And so
very true.
So we were able to give them something to cheer about, and I was just happy that we had that crowd. Now I know next year's next year, but we win the SWAC tournament. We would like to have a big crowd.
Absolutely.
For the watch party.
Oh yes, gotta have a watch party, and hopefully the Rattlers are there. Start SWAC tournament play on Wednesday.
Yes.
And hopefully do not succumb to the double bye, because the double bye has proven
Yes.
Consequential for some teams and other conferences for their conference tournaments.
But we're going to be like Indiana.
Yes. Indiana football.
Indiana football. We're taking their model.
Yes, the double bye not being a curse and rather a nice resting point to be able to continue on and provide momentum into the championship game, because
I think I should I call Fernando to ask him?
of course he's, as he's wearing, he says that as he's wearing the Heisman paraphernalia.
I think I'll call Fernando to see if he can give us some pointers on what it takes to win a championship.
Don't you have experience winning a championship?
Or he's recent.
Right, because yours have a little dust on them. Right,
Yes.
yeah, 30 years ago. Right. But we appreciate you all joining us this evening. We have had, Coach Ford has had quite the travels, and we're glad he's back, but he's going back on the road, and, well, we're going to be going with him. So to Atlanta, and hopefully we'll see some of you Rattler fans in Atlanta for the SWAC tournament.
We not hope.
We
look
will.
forward to seeing
Look forward to
our
seeing,
Rattler family
yes, as
on Wednesday night at 8:30
yes,
p.m.
against one of Jackson State, Grambling, or Mississippi Valley State. So looking to see who they play, and we'll just say sayonara and go Rattlers.
Rattlers!
Oh dear.